I'm Ilyse Hogue. I'm a senior fellow at New America. I run our gender extremism and engagement project, lifelong social change, democratic political activist, and old from a friend of Sam. So when he invited me on the show, I couldn't say no.
Exactly. And for the purpose of this, why don't you explain what your last job was prior to your current one?
Yeah, I spent almost a decade as the president and CEO of NARAL Pro Choice America, now Reproductive Freedom for All, the oldest and largest exclusively political organization dedicated to protecting and expanding reproductive freedom and abortion rights.
So I think you have fairly well established credentials advocating on behalf of women and for democratic causes. Fair enough?
I hope so.
Hard to do more than that.
At
All right.
this point.
So, with all that being said, you now have a piece for us on the Bulwark that makes the case that Kamala Harris should not pick a woman running mate. Why?
I think it's grounded in my experience of watching from a feminist perspective how male grievance and male backlash propelled Trump to power and seeing those same forces be animated today. The Democrats, quite frankly, have a man problem. And it's not actually a policy problem. I mean, I say all the time, Joe Biden was the best president for hard hat jobs, masculine jobs in the nation. And yet you have the president of the Teamsters speaking from the RNC stage. It's a cultural problem. It's a problem we have to wrap our arms around. We can't pit genders against each other and be the party of inclusivity that we need to be. And I think Kamala Harris has a huge opportunity in this election to show that strong women and strong men don't have to fear each other. We can work in partnership, and that everybody of all genders has a place in this party.
Let's come at it from another angle. What would happen if she were to pick Gretchen Whitmer as her running mate?
Well, I should caveat this by saying I'm a huge Gretchen Whitmer fan. I
Sure.
campaigned for her for governor. I think she's done a stupendous job.
You don't have a closet hatred of her.
And
Right?
I
All right,
I
fair
love
enough.
Barbie
We'll give you
stuff.
that.
I just think she's fantastic. She's got a great political future ahead. I just believe that the math is not there to win this on feminist votes alone, and that includes male and female feminists. There's a fair number of voters, men and women alike, who actually believe that we need a strong man to face down what I would argue is a toxic man who is wrestling for the soul of our country. And strength is critically important. Kamala is a strong woman. Don't get me wrong. She has got this thing locked up. But I think she needs to actually show that voting for her is in everyone's best interest and that she intends to actually not be cowed by the idea of partnering with strong men. And she's not. But I think voters need to see that. Voters need to feel like they're part of this ticket and that all of their interests are reflected in order to create what I call the social permissions for both men and women who quite honestly have shown a wariness in the past to voting for female candidates.
I was going to say there
And
is,
the Democratic ticket.
yeah, I think it goes underappreciated. I want to get back to the social permission element, but I want to just harp on one thing you said. Talk to me a bit about women having discomfort with voting for other women. It is a phenomenon we've seen in some focus groups we've conducted here. And of course, it's something we saw with Hillary's 2016 campaign as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it falls into several categories. And don't think we didn't do a lot of soul searching after 2016 to understand this dynamic.
Yeah.
I think that you've got the sort of segment that are pragmatists that sort of just don't believe a woman can win. And they desperately want to beat Donald Trump. And so they want to have the assurance that we have that male masculine energy going up against Donald Trump. And then I actually think you have a lot of like women who internalize misogyny, that they don't think they're good enough. So how could another woman be good enough? And then what we actually found post Hillary is you have women who don't want to vote against their husband's interests. My grandmother was one of them,
Wow.
who really don't want to bring politics home to the dinner table, create acrimony in their marriage. And so they have to have permission to say with their husbands, this is a ticket that we can all get behind.
All right, let's go back to the social permission structures. How does this work? Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris picks Mark Kelly, and suddenly men around the country are like, oh, We can vote for her.
I think it's a little bit more complicated than that.
No.
Although, I love me some Mark Kelly, and he is my
Yes, I know.
he's not the only one that can do the job. I think what the social permission structure is saying is we recognize that there is not only a place for, but a need for strong men in leading this country forward. We just think we have a different model of doing it because we also recognize that we embrace strong women as leaders in this country. And it is that partnership that grounds so many, not all, but so many families in this country, and people will see themselves reflected in that partnership. And that makes it okay to reject what is quite honestly an abhorrent model of masculinity that some people see in Donald Trump's ticket. Now, let me be clear. I think that the Republicans were thinking the same thing. They know that Trump is abhorrent to a lot of women. They're not expecting to win women overall, but they needed to create some social permissions for some women to vote for that ticket. Enter J.D. Vance, who has a really lovely relationship with his wife, who is a strong woman. So this is not,
It's so funny that you're mentioning this because what you're talking about is is vibes. It's not policy. Like J.D. Vance obviously is, on the record saying he supports federal abortion restrictions, but you say, well, voters gloss onto the fact that he's got this great relationship with his wife and supports her and she's a professional woman, an accomplished lawyer. Voters will take that cue almost more so than the fact that he supports policies they might not like.
Look, I mean, most elections are about vibes generally. And I think that that's really important for people to understand. It goes back to that point about Joe Biden being a hard hat president. And yet at the same time, during the same time period, Democrats are hemorrhaging men from the party, right? Yeah. This is a vibes thing. And we have to recognize that. We have to embrace it. And we have to lean into it because we got good vibes too. We actually got some dudes who bring it, let's put them on the main stage.
All right. And you said, last question quickly, Mark Kelly is your guy. Why?
Mark Kelly is my guy. I think he's got the perfect profile. He is a fighter pilot, which is what so many young boys want to be in that inner young boy.
I didn't want to do that. That was not me. I wanted to be a rabbi, okay? I wanted to be a rabbi.
Well, Sam, we all know you are the most precious outlier, but he's got the astronaut fighter jet. But again, he put it all aside to take care of his wife when she needed it. He is not afraid to partner with a strong woman and stand up for the rights and freedoms that women need. But he does it from a very masculine place. And that's, I think, the winning ticket. Kamala needs to choose who works best with her. It doesn't have to be Mark Kelly. I think the greater point is this partnership is going to be critical to success in November. And this one's too important to screw up.
All right. For the record, I didn't want to be a rabbi. I thought I would be the Jewish Michael Jordan. It didn't work out. Here I am instead with Ilyse Hogue.
Keep dreaming, Sam. Keep dreaming.
It's never too late. All right, Ilyse Hogue, thank you so much. Go read her piece on the Bulwark. It is fantastic. Really appreciate it. Thank you for joining us.